Yes, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. What is the other name? What with which we can call adrenergic? That means sympathetic nervous system.
Adrenergic, sympathetic.
Adrenergic. Why we call it as adrenergic? Because the neurotransmitter involved, the chief neurotransmitter involved in sympathetic nervous system is adrenaline. That is the reason we call it as adrenergic system. And parasympathetic can be called as cholinergic because the neurotransmitter involved in parasympathetic nervous system is acetylcholine. So these are the basic. On screen you are seeing the basic system how they are arranged. Okay, so somatic nervous system is like a direct nerve from the control center, that is central nervous system. From brain to skeletal muscle, it is a somatic nervous system. Okay, only single thread, point to point attached. Okay, end to end attached in case of somatic nervous system, but it is not in the case of autonomic nervous system. So in autonomic nervous system, it is involuntary, and in autonomic you have two divisions, one is parasympathetic and the sympathetic. So these nerves are connected through ganglia. There will be a junction starting from the center, that is the nerves will emerge out of the spinal cord. There are various regions in the spinal cord, right? Cervical, thoracic, lumbar. You must be knowing these things. So generally, parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems, the nerves connecting to the respective organs are passing through ganglia. Ganglia are junction of one nerve ending and other cell body. Okay, cell body of the post ganglionic neuron and nerve ending of preganglionic. That means pre means before the ganglion. Whatever the nerve coming from the controlling center to the ganglion, the junction is preganglionic. Whatever the nerve which is whatever the neuron or the nerve emerging starting from the ganglia and ending in the respective organ is postganglionic. So there is a length difference to the between parasympathetic as well as sympathetic with respect to the neuron, that may be preganglionic nerve. Okay, so those differences, all the things you can learn in your pharmacology. This is just consider it as just a overview. Okay, fine. So generally there is a difference. All these things are taken from KD Tripathi medical pharmacology textbook. Okay, so I'm not going to explain you all these things. This is just for an overview. This much is not needed for medicinal chemistry one. So you better I just want you to remind that you have to link both medicinal chemistry as well as pharmacology to learn effectively all the chapters, because you have parallels with the units that you have in pharmacology as well as in medicinal chemistry. So whatever needed for medicinal chemistry, I'll deal those two topics. So the purpose of showing these two tables is that, so there is a difference between somatic and autonomic that I have clearly told, and here it is distinguished what is the difference between somatic as well as autonomic. Autonomic nervous system will have nerve endings passing till all other organs, but somatic is very much particular to skeletal muscles. Okay, skeletal muscles. Okay, and if there is anything to remember, that you need to remember from the second table, that sympathetic nerves will originate from dorsolumbar region, that means T1, thoracic 1 to lumbar 2. So what all are they, you have to go through the anatomy of those cranial nerves. Okay, cranial nerves, how many pairs are there, from where they are originating, and all. Okay, so parasympathetic are craniosacral, that means above and the below, where the nerves are emerging from. The regions on the spinal cord. These are the regions on the spinal cord from where sympathetic nerves are emerging and as well as parasympathetic nerves are emerging. So there are some names to the particular nerve. third one, seventh, ninth, 10th. Those are names. Other alternative names are also important. Please go through your pharmacology textbook and try to remember. So here the second important factor is that the neurotransmitter involved. That means let us assume the pipe from the tank to the tank to the tap. The pipe is neuron. Okay, so there should be a flow of water from tank to the tap we needed, from where we can wash whatever, we can use that water for whatever the purpose we want. So that water is neurotransmitter, that chemical entity that is making the changes coming through the neuron from the center of origin to the organ is neurotransmitter. That neurotransmitter, if it is noradrenaline or any adrenaline or dopamine, that is sympathetic nervous system. In sympathetic nervous system, neurotransmitter will be any of the catecholamines. One may be adrenaline very chiefly and noradrenaline majorly. Both are major, and dopamine to some extent. Okay, and in case of parasympathetic nervous system, it is acetylcholine. The neurotransmitter is acetylcholine. Okay, so these two points to be remembered here. So you must be knowing how the neurotransmitter is released at the nerve ending. So it occurs via a kind of cytokinesis. Okay, that is induced by the surface conduction. That surface conduction happens through exchange of sodium and potassium ion through the membrane, the cell membrane. Okay, so you will have to know what is polarizability, depolarization, repolarization, resting phase involved in signal transduction. Okay, signal transduction, a signal passes from one point to the other on the surface of the cell through this cycle of repolarization, depolarization and resting state. There exchange of sodium and potassium happens, which is a key for signal transduction. So here this picture which is on right side is showing how the neurotransmitter is exchanged between one nerve ending and other cell receptors. Okay, one nerve to other nerve, that junction. Let us assume this is a ganglion, and the space between two neurons, one nerve ending and the cell body is called as synapse. In that, how the various vesicles of neurotransmitters are getting exchanged is to be observed. Okay, and if you see, this is about the biosynthesis of catecholamines. Okay, biosynthesis of catecholamines, I'll come to it later. And this is how they are metabolized, metabolism of catecholamines. These two are important, but before that we need to know the location of adrenergic receptors. What all are the types of receptors for very particular to adrenergic nervous system, and where they are located. You have to remember them very diligently. Okay, you should not forget the location of receptors. So if you see, there are alpha and beta. Adrenergic receptors are majorly classified into alpha and beta, and if you see their subtypes, alpha will have alpha 1 and alpha 2. Beta receptors will have subtypes beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3. Okay, so here it was given preference for beta receptors. Let's see where they are. So the location of beta 1 is in heart. Beta 1 receptor is in heart. So when beta 1 receptor is activated via neurotransmitter of adrenergic system, it will increase the heart rate. It will increase the heart rate. Okay. Then beta 2 is in bronchi. Bronchi means in the lungs. Bronchi present in the lungs. Then blood vessels. So when it comes to the bronchi, what actions it could do? Either dilate or constrict, right? We will check whether it will dilate or constrict later on. And blood vessels, what actions it could elicit on blood vessels? Either constriction or dilation of the blood vessels. Uterus, same. Liver, it depends, and the action of receptors and neurotransmitters on liver we'll see as a special case. And in GIT means gastrointestinal tract. It would relate to either increasing the motility or decreasing the motility, or secretions, whether glands will secrete or stop secreting. And urinary tract also, again, constriction or dilation. Eye, it in eye you have pupil, right? Pupil constriction and dilation. Okay. And beta 3 receptor is very specific to adipose tissue, that is present in our fat inside the body. Okay, so the locations are very important. Heart is having beta 1 receptor, and JG cells in kidney means in kidney you have juxtaglomerular apparatus, that also will have beta 1 receptor. Beta 1 receptor is present in heart as well as juxtaglomerular apparatus of the kidney, nephron in the kidney. Then beta 2 you have in bronchi, that means in lungs, blood vessels, uterus, liver, GIT, urinary tract, and eye. Remember mainly four: bronchi, blood vessels, eye, and GIT. Eye and GIT. These five locations are very much important. Okay, and beta 3 is very much specific to adipose tissue, that is fat. Okay, so if you see selective agonist, if in the second column he has given selective agonist for beta 1 receptor, that is dobutamine. Dobutamine, what is an agonist? It will perform an action which generally sympathetic nervous system does. So it is mimicking. So it is doing the mimicry of sympathetic nervous system. So it can be called a sympathomimetic. So as they are behaving like that of sympathetic nervous system, they can be called as sympathomimetic, the drug. Okay. Then for beta 2, salbutamol and terbutaline. What is the use? They are generally used in asthmatic patients. So in what is asthma? It is narrowing down of bronchi and bronchioles. Okay, the air pathway of the lungs will be narrowed down, and that will cause asthma. And these two drugs are given to treat such conditions. So what we expect generally, bronchodilation, that means dilation of bronchioles and the widening up of the airway. So salbutamol and terbutaline. So how, what is the function of beta 2? So beta 2 receptors in bronchi will dilate the bronchioles. Okay, so that is the action of sympathetic nervous system. So salbutamol and terbutaline are also agonists, that means sympathomimetics. And beta 3 you have some drug candidate that is not at a fully developed drug molecule. Okay, and if you see the third column, it is selective antagonist. Antagonist means it will act on contrary to the actions of sympathetic nervous system. That means it will do the actions which are against its normal actions, going opposite. Okay, if sympathetic nervous system is constricting something, antagonists of sympathetic nervous system will dilate. So they will show the opposite action of that of sympathetic actions. Okay. So what is beta 1 antagonist? The drug which is acting like antagonist at beta 1 receptor is metoprolol and atenolol. These two drugs are the treatment candidates. The candidates can be used for the treatment of hypertension, increased blood pressure. So increased blood pressure, we are using beta 1 antagonist. That means beta 1, we know they will increase the heart rate, and we are using metoprolol as antagonist. So it should have opposite action. That means it will reduce the heartbeat or heart rate. Okay, so dobutamine will increase the heart rate. So it is agonist. It is same action like sympathetic. Antagonist, metoprolol, that means it will show opposite reaction to that of sympathetic nervous system, that is it will decrease the heart rate. Okay, so and for beta 2 you have an antagonist, that is alpha methyl propranolol. So there is a class. So what it would do, so medically we don't use very frequently, so it will just remember that it will have actions that of opposite to sympathomimetics. Okay, sympathetic nervous system, and those two candidates no need to remember for beta 3. So potency of noradrenaline as agonist. So you have chiefly two adrenergic neurotransmitters. One is adrenaline and other one is noradrenaline, and each one is very specific to the receptors. For noradrenaline, so you have strong affinity to beta 3, otherwise you have moderate affinity to beta 1. These you please take care in pharmacology subject. It is not that much important for our area of concerns. Okay. So when it comes to alpha 1 and alpha 2 receptors, so the location is post junctional on effector organs. Post junctional means there is a junction of two neurons. So ending point, that means after reaching the synapse and the leaving point of the junction, you will have alpha 1 receptors. Okay. So those there the function includes generally either opening up or closing the uh, nerve ending so that to conduct the signal or inhibit the signal from the neuron. And alpha 2 pre-junctional on nerve ending. Alpha 2 is on nerve ending itself. Okay. So alpha 1 is at effector organs after the junction near to the effector organs. Alpha 1. Alpha 2 is at junction itself, nerve ending. Okay. And post junctional in brain. Inside brain it is post junctional. And pancreatic beta cells involved in insulin secretion and extra junctional in certain blood vessels and platelets. Okay. So if you see the functions of alpha 1, if it is the alpha 1 present in genitourinary tract, that means generally it is related with childbirth in female candidates. So the muscle there will be contracted so that it will help the labor or parturition. Okay. What is that? The process of baby's birth that can be done by genital urinary that system. Okay. And constriction for maturation. And if you see alpha 1's action on blood vessels, vasoconstriction, that will constrict the blood vessels. Okay. If blood vessels are constricted, blood pressure will increase. If you see any glands, salivary or pancreas anywhere, such glands, if you constrict, they will secrete. If they are relaxed, there is no secretion. If it is a gut, that is alimentary canal, our digestive system, it will relax. Okay. And if you see the liver, glycogenolysis, that means that will break down the glucose sources and provide glucose to the body. And if you see the heart, arrhythmia means irregular heartbeats. That means it is irregular heartbeats happen when there is a increased force of contraction beyond required. Okay. Then if you see the functions of alpha 2, inhibition of transmitter release. So from nerve ending, when neurotransmitter is released, so there should be some certain amount, no, after releasing certain amount, the release of neurotransmitter should be stopped. That is done through negative feedback mechanism through the mediation of alpha 2 receptors. And vasoconstriction, alpha 2 is also involved. So central sympathetic flow is also decreased via alpha 2 receptors, and insulin release is decreased by alpha 2 receptors. Platelet aggregation is done through alpha 2 receptors. Okay, so try to remember the functions of each receptor so that you can easily write the mechanism of any agonist drug or antagonist drug. So the process is like that. When we see the classification of drugs, when you know such certain drug is agonist and you know the actions of receptors on each organelle, you can easily predict what could be the mechanism of action. If it is a sympathomimetic, it will act on so and so receptor and it will enhance the action of that receptor. And you know the function of that receptor, you can easily write the manifestation of such agonist on the action of the organ. Okay. And if it is antagonist, it is blocking the normal function of that nervous system. So that is how you need to relate. First, if you remember the types of receptors, where they are present, what action they are doing. Okay, you can easily write the mechanism of action when it comes to the agonist or antagonist. If you know the category of the drug, you can easily write the mechanism of action when asked to write. Okay, and the rest of the things given below effector pathway that you will be getting, you might have learned them in general as part of general pharmacology in the types of receptors, particularly in G coupled type of receptors. Two pathways will be there, IP3 and D, DAG, and those pathways you please try to learn from pharmacology. Okay, so here the main intention is to remember the types of receptors particular to sympathetic nervous system, that is adrenergic nervous system. One is alpha and the other one is beta. Alpha has two subtypes, one is alpha 1 and the alpha 2. Okay, alpha 2 receptor is present at nerve ending, it is very important to remember. Okay, and the functions of alpha 1 at near to the organelles. What organelles are there? Genitourinary tract and blood vessels, glands, gut, liver, and heart, and the action they are performing. Okay, and when it comes to beta type of adrenergic receptors, they have subcategories beta 1, beta 2, and beta 3. So beta 1 is present in heart. Sympathomimetic action is to increase the heart rate. Beta 2 is present in bronchi, and the sympathetic action is to dilate the bronchioles. And beta 3 is at adipose, and we don't have any required pharmacological action as of now. Okay, so this is the distribution of receptors particular to adrenergic nervous system. So this is overview of the drugs and their mechanism of actions. So if you want, you may use it. I'll share this presentation once I finish off the unit. Okay, so these are the classification. This is how the classification of drugs appear. So this is actually pharmacological classification, which is not relevant here in our MC medicinal chemistry. I'll provide the classification according to the syllabus, and that notes will be mailed to you. Although this will also be mailed to you. If you want, you can use it for pharmacology, but don't use this classification unless warranted by me for medicinal chemistry. Okay, so this is purely a pharmacological classification. So it is a list of actions and related to drugs. Okay, according to the main physiological actions of the body, how the drugs are acting on such physiological actions, etc. This all these things are summarized in this table. So alpha actions and beta actions you can remember by using this table. And anti-adrenergic means they will act against the sympathetic nervous system. The actions of the whatever the actions performed by sympathetic nervous system, the action of sympatholytics, we can call sympatholytics, will be opposite to them. Okay, and here also you need to remember the classification and the action. If you know the actions, you can write the opposite as the pharmacological action. One moment. So here also it is a relative comparison, and you have cholinergic system. So I'll tell here, although cholinergic system is in unit 3 for medicinal chemistry, but I just want to tell you the types of receptors very much particular to cholinergic system. So the two types of receptors for cholinergic system is muscarinic and nicotinic. Nicotinic and muscarinic. If you see here, the site is given, the type of receptor, cholinergic receptor present there, and what is the selective agonist and antagonist. That means if the action of drug is similar to cholinergic system, that is parasympathetic system, that will be called as agonist or parasympathomimetic or cholinomimetic. If the actions are opposite to that of cholinergic actions, that will be called as antagonist, cholinergic antagonist or cholinolytics. Okay, uh, likewise. Okay, so if you see the site of presence of for muscarinic receptors M1, M2, M3. Muscarinic receptors are subdivided into M1, M2, M3. Okay, generally muscarinic receptors are present in all postganglionic parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, postganglionic. Okay, then few postganglionic sympathetic nervous system also they are present. Okay, so they are present at postganglionic areas of both sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. Okay, so sweat glands, blood vessels are the few examples. So the selective agonist is muscarine and antagonist is atropine. And if you see ganglia, both sympathetic and parasympathetic, you have nicotinic type of receptor. Subtype is NN. Two types of nicotinic receptors. One is NN, the other one is NM. Okay, NM. NM is present at muscles. M for muscles. N NN type will be present at ganglia. Okay, ganglia and adrenal medulla. And in CNS, you have muscarinic as well as nicotinic receptors. So, for now, you please remember that there are two subcategories of cholinergic receptors. One is muscarinic, other one is nicotinic. Nicotinic further have two types. One is NN, okay, that is present at ganglia. Other one is NM, that is present at neuromuscular junction, so skeletal muscles. And muscarinic receptors has three subtypes, actually five subtypes, and the other two are still under exploration. So please do remember M1, M2, M3. So their distribution will be again seen further. Okay, so how acetylcholine is synthesized, how it is released, I will see later. Okay, so as I have told you, the subtypes of muscarinic type of receptors M1, M2, M3, where they are present. So M1 is present at autonomic ganglia as well as gastric glands. Gastric glands means the glands which secrete HCl, bicarbonate, and all during the digestion. Okay, so then second M2 type of receptor is present at SCA node, AV node, atrium, ventricle. What all are these parts? SCA node, AV node, atrium, ventricle. All these are parts of heart, right? In heart you will have SCA node, AV node, then atrium and ventricle. So let us see what M2 does. That means M2 is present in heart also. M2 receptor is present in heart. What adrenergic receptor is present in heart? Sympathetic receptor that is present in heart. What is it? Beta 1, right? Do you remember? So if you see beta 1 is present for from adrenergic system, beta 1 is present in heart. From cholinergic system you have M2. Okay. So M2, what is its action? Reducing the heart rate. So you must be knowing that sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system are opposite to together as per our school education. In our school, we were taught that sympathetic nervous system is opposite to parasympathetic nervous system, and sympathetic nervous system is fight and flight response. That means you will your muscles will be strengthened strongly. You will have pupil dilated like Balakrishna's movies and all, right? Fine. So that is sympathetic nervous system. And when it comes to parasympathetic nervous system, they will say that it is like Yogi Vemana or Bhakta Prahlada, like devotional movies kind of nervous system will be activated, where we'll have a peace of mind, a calm mind and all. So that was true to most of the extent, but here we are not. We have to dig deeper into the nervous system, detailing all the components of the nervous system, where they are present, how they are acting. Okay. Likewise, try to remember that you have cholinergic innervation as well as adrenergic innervation to the heart. So, adrenergic receptor present in heart is beta 1, and cholinergic receptor present in M1. This is M2, sorry, M2. So, this is how you need to remember in each organelle what adrenergic receptor is present and what is its action, what cholinergic receptor is present and what's its action. So if you take heart as an example, heart is having beta 1. Beta 1 is adrenergic receptor. Okay, so what is the action of beta 1 receptor when it is activated via adrenaline? So Adrenaline is the neurotransmitter will come and touch through the adrenergic nerve at beta 1 receptor. When that adrenaline touches beta 1 receptor, heart rate increases. Likewise, when acetylcholine from cholinergic system comes and touches M2, heart rate reduces. Okay, so that is how it happens, except three exceptions. Almost actions of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems are opposite to each other actions, but except there are three exceptions that you will learn as we proceed. Okay, am I clear? Okay, fine. So M2 is present in heart. So in cholinergic nerve endings also you have. So if you compare the same thing at adrenergic nerve endings, what receptor you have? You have alpha 2 receptor at adrenergic nerve endings. At cholinergic nerve endings, you have M2. So to stop the release of acetylcholine from the nerve ending, M2 will be into action. To stop the adrenaline from the adrenergic nerve ending, you will have alpha 2 receptor. So that is how you have to compare and contrast and remember. Okay. Then M3 you have in visceral smooth muscles, iris in the eye. Okay, ciliary muscle, it will constrict exocrine glands and it is secretion. What is exocrine glands? Exocrine glands means glands which have a duct. The secretions from the gland will be passed through the required site of action through ducts. Okay, endocrine means ductless glands. Generally, hormones are secreted by endocrine glands. Example, pituitary, hypothalamus, and all. For endocrine. So, exocrine glands, example, pancreas. Okay, pituitary. Sorry, not pituitary. Okay, what we call gallbladder or liver. Okay, those are the examples. And vascular endothelium means the inner lining of blood vessels. There, the release of nitrous oxide means vasodilation. If blood vessels are dilated, the blood pressure will be low, and blood will be sufficiently supplied to all the organs. Okay, when blood pressure is high, the blood supply to all organs is somewhat compromised. Okay, so try to remember the actions of sympathetic nervous system by fight and flight, but not true in all cases. Okay, so fight and flight, if someone is pricking you with needle, you got anger on him, you wanted to kick him in his face. So if you observe your wrist, it is very tightly held. So observe your muscle is tight and blood pressure increases, heart rate increases. Okay, all these actions are done by sympathetic nervous system. Okay, after you finish hitting him, after some time you will cool. That means the reverse actions happens. That means parasympathetic nervous system comes into play and it will reduce your heart rate. Blood flow will be uh, more to the organs through vasodilation. That means reduced blood pressure, reduced heart rate and all. So try to remember with practical instances that are generally very prominent. Okay, so that is what I just want to insist, and we'll. So these are the classification of acetylcholine, cholinergic drugs and anticholinergic drugs. We see. So the next topic that we are going to cover is biosynthesis of catecholamines. So today's class it's enough, I guess. So today's homework is to remember the types of receptors for both adrenergic as well as cholinergic types of receptors, they where they are present, what action it is there. So I suggest you to refer to Rang and Dale. Okay, you have a comprehensive table there. I'll try to share that with you. Okay, share that with you via WhatsApp. I'll send to all the contacts I have from your batch the table, so you will get the table from my side. Okay, so today's homework is to try to remember the types of receptors, where they are present, what is the action. when they are coming in contact with that particular neurotransmitter. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
So what is the homework for today? Only yes or no?